Two quick questions. When did you first implement the health and wellness program you're talking about? Was that 2017?
Yeah, so December 16 was the first bit of data, yes.
Okay, thank you. And then the next one was how many people, you said it was an opt-in scheme. So how many people started out participating and then ultimately how many ended up most recently?
So we basically, 60% uptake of the UK team, the first one, and then 70% of the second one. So roughly in numbers there, you're looking at anything from 40 to 60 people depending on the year.
How do we find more CEOs like you, and how can we convince more CEOs to take the attitude that or to go on the journey that you've been on?
First question is whether that's advisable, that search. I don't know, it's about personal choices, right? And I think I'm in a situation where today, and I talked personally about myself, I'm probably what you call unemployable, because I couldn't work for anybody else, and therefore there's actually a founder of Vita Coco in the US, a lovely guy called Mike Kerben, and he and I are scaringly alike, which very much helps. But you know, he lets me get on and run the business from Europe, Middle East, and Africa, the same as he runs the business out the US. And I think, you know, from my perspective, is that I think actually it's about what you want to do in business. And I think where I've been is that I'm very passionate about getting Vita Coco to an amazing place. I've been on this journey now 10 years with the business, and it's, again, just to give you an idea, we're in a very strong position today. So all that competition is basically, you know, I'm not saying it's gone away, but we've literally, you know, we've kind of battled and done very well against that. And when you think about, and hopefully there's nobody in the room from PepsiCo here, but when you think of something like Tropicana, which was the #1 juice brand, that has been absolutely smashed by Innocent. Innocent's now bigger than Tropicana across the whole of Europe. And you know, for me, I'm very proud of Vita Coco that we've had the resilience of coconut to basically keep Innocent, you know, at bay. But what I'm actually, you know, I actually don't have an issue with people leaving my business, because one of the reasons is that I do what I do because I want other people to kind of take the leap of faith and take that entrepreneurial stride. So in the 10 years, we've actually had 14 new businesses or brands set up out of Vita Coco. So Ugly as a drinks example, you'll see there. Jessie was my head of sales. She's just launched a new non-alcoholic wine called Outfox. So all these guys are doing that stuff. And I think my question is what I try and do is I hope I can kind of create all some of those CEOs or founders come out of our business as well as elsewhere in the industry. But there's a few guys. There's definitely a few guys around. I mean, there's people in the industry who, I'm very close to, who for me, I actually really respect and actually I'm humbled by. I mean, a great guy is a guy called Mark, who's CEO of Ella's Kitchen, who were acquired by Hain Celestial in the US about 4 years ago. And Mark's been instrumental in something. I don't know how many of you guys know about, obviously, the whole world of B Corp. But we're just going through the process of being certified on B Corp, which again very much fits into this journey here. And Mark's one of the most inspirational guys you can meet on that. So I think there's quite a few people around that. But equally, I kind of don't preach that my mould is necessarily the right one for me, and hopefully a few people follow it. But there are some bad habits there as well, I can tell you.
Did you improve absenteeism, firstly? Second question is a little bit more difficult to quantify is, did you look at presenteeism as well?
So in terms of absenteeism, I can't actually give you a statistic on it, and the reason being is that Joy, who runs all of our people and culture and environment stuff, it's so low for us, it's tiny. We don't even register it. It's tiny. In terms of attendeeism, or whatever you'd like to call it, I've always created a kind of culture as much as I can about trust. And for example, we don't even necessarily properly record holiday. I'm just about to probably say, actually forget you get 25 days a year. If you can do an amazing job, you take as many days as you want a year. Because for me, the guys there are committed and engaged, and I trust everybody in the business, and therefore you got to treat them with that way. I think the only slight thing I would say in the business, which I won't say is the negativity, but something that I've got to look at. So, for example, and this is where talk about myself, is that I actually commute 3.5 hours a day because I live up in Rutland near Leicestershire, and the office is in Farringdon. The only bit of negativity I have at the moment is that Friday can be a little bit like party day in the office. Again, we have a young culture, and I suspect most of them are out till early hours of Friday morning. And that's probably the only slight gripe I've got at the moment. And the bit I've stood up in front of the guys and said, look, you know, I want everybody working really hard. If you had a brutal week, just get out the office on Friday and on 2 o'clock. But, you know, just make sure you're getting the balance right, because I don't like it when particularly if it's because, you know, 2 of the 5 senior managers don't live in London and don't work in the office on a Friday, and I don't want that to have. There shouldn't be any change on that day at all, and that's just one thing I haven't cracked yet. And clearly I could sit and go, right, I'm going to alternate my days between a Friday and a Monday, but that for me feels like the cheap and easy way out. And I'm quite happy to do that personally, but it's not the right way for me, and that's the only teething issue I've got at the moment. But generally, in terms of, you know, absenteeism and sickness and stuff, it's not an issue, you know, for us at all. And equally, people are hugely engaged, but I'm also not a big fan about people working stupid hours either. So if somebody can get the job done in 10 till 4, good on you. And, you know, again, people have very specific measured objectives and stuff, and I'm very relaxed about that.
You focus a lot on physical well-being. Do you focus at all on financial as well?
Just define for me financial in your own mind, just so I can make sure I answer correctly.
People, you know, in debt, people, like how they manage it, helping them just sort of manage their finances. It doesn't have to be a bit debt, it can be budgeting, it can be all those sorts of things. I wonder, is there any?
Yeah, there is. So I think there's a number of things we do on that, which is, I'll talk about it on 2 sides, from the personal, so from the individual side and also from the company side. So from the individual side, I guess from the financial position on that, we do various bits and pieces on that. And again, we're not one of these companies that have got literally rolls out massive loads of different, you know, employee benefits. But, you know, obviously things like, we obviously, you know, from a financial perspective, obviously all the guys are on pensions. We roll the national insurance back into those guys. A lot of the guys have obviously travel. We will basically pay for their travel up front, and they then reimburse us, you know, for the year. Everybody's given access to financial planning managers. Yes, we can say everybody's given access to financial planning managers, and can obviously look at that. The one area I struggle with personally is I'm the guy that when one of the guys comes to me, and the only bit I find difficult sometimes, if I'm honest, is that some of the guys come to me and I have to approve their mortgage applications. And when I look at the mortgage relative to what their net take-home pay is, that's difficult. You know, I had it bloody easy when I started out in London, and even then I thought it was good. Getting on a ladder there was difficult. And that's just one area at the moment that's just sat in the back of my head about, is there anything we can do about that? Is there anything we can help on that? And I haven't got a solution on that yet. But then, just from a company perspective, to flip it around the other way, in terms of driving the financial metrics, you know, as strong as possible, I'm very open with all the guys. Everybody knows every single revenue and profit measure in our business. So you'll go to a lot of businesses where they won't even talk about profit, or they won't even tell you how much it costs you to produce a certain item, because, you know, you don't need to know that. We are completely opposite. Everything from, you know, what we invoice our customers to everything that costs us down to our EBITDA or net profit. We tell all the guys that. But what we do is we're meticulous about it. So, for example, this year we have the £1 million challenge. That £1 million challenge, that if we bring in £1 million of cost saving, that releases an extraordinarily different Christmas party for the guys in December. So you might say, well, that's an easy character angle, but actually it's one that works for the employees and it works for us. But also, I also talk about the whole time with the guys about every single pound we're investing or every single pound we're spending. If it was your own money, would you be doing it? And we personalise it that way the whole time, and it drives a complete different behaviour.
You mentioned about recovery. What does recovery mean for you, and what's next in your personal journey?
So on my personal journey, so what does recovery mean? So, like I said, I'm quite extreme. I tend to do quite a lot of endurance sport. I'm training 12 to 15 hours a week, even though I've got a 3.5 hour daily commute. So I'll be training at 4:30 in the morning, so where I get the training, etc. Recovery means a number of things for me, which is, there's both. What I found out is that there was a stage where I thought I could run 24/7 and I could be a machine, but actually over the last 10, 20 years, I haven't been able to sustain that as much as I wanted to, or else if I have, it's had some detrimental impacts because, whether it's illness, not feeling good, or whether it's mood or that sort of stuff. So what recovery means to me personally is, I now know that because of the program I've been through, I'm probably more, I know myself better than I've ever done before, and I'm what I call. So when I look at this, there's three things I've looked at, which is, I know that this is giving me math capacity, additional capacity, and I know that's come through because I'm connected and I've got better clarity. So therefore, what I'll know is that recovery for me knows is that I know when I'm getting tired and I know when I need downtime. If I've had a Brook a week, I want to jog. I want to go out the office at 1 o'clock. Sorry, still me. You know, if I've had a Brook a week and I want to go out in the office at 1 o'clock and jump on the bike for 2-3 hours and clear my mind, that's it. And that's one of the recovery and downtime for me is also that, you know, my training and stuff outside of work is my escapism. And people have different things, whether it's photography or whatever, but that's my escapism. But it's quite funny because all the guys in the office are like, oh bloody hell, Giles will be on his bike again. Because if I'm on the bike for 3 hours, there'll then be like 30 emails. So I've thought about all the things that need to happen. So when I get back in, I'm like, jot them all down. And that's my way of, of recovery. But I'm also very clear about my life, where I want it to be going forward as well. And I'm very fortunate. I'm probably in a position I can do and say this, but I've probably been the idiot who's been running around for the last 20 years. There's probably another 3 years at maximum. Never going to retire because that's not me. But I'm very clear about actually I'll start switching some of the dynamics and getting a balance back. And I said I do quite a bit of endurance sport, and actually next year I'm going to be basically racing abroad 6-8 times next year because that's a choice I want to make. And actually, other CEOs ago, I can't afford to be out of the office that time. Well, I can because, I've kind of, for me, I feel I've got myself in a position, completely empowered and trust my senior team. And actually, for me personally, I need to do that, and that's what's very important. And I think getting that balance right is what works for me. But each person in the room will have a different way of a different recipe or a different way of doing it for themselves.